Thor is the god of thunder, but today you get to be a sorcerer god of... Okay, well, we'll be using the Storm Sorcery subclass in this build today, and I won't try to struggle through another bad joke. We'll be using Sorcerer, Cleric, and Wizard to really capitalize on maximizing your thunder and lightning damage as a caster character. You can build this out as a number of ways, going with higher cleric levels if you want to be more of a melee hybrid class, but we'll be focusing on more of a spellcaster, as I have very few spellcaster builds on the channel. If this is your first time on my channel, the way I do things is by upfronting the knowledge in my videos so you can decide if it's the right one for you. So, with that being said, we'll be going with 2 levels of cleric in the beginning in the Tempest Domain, which will allow us to use Channel Divinity to max out our lightning and thunder damage. Then 9 levels into Sorcerer with Storm Sorcery, and then lastly 1 level into Wizard, just to give us a little bit of cheese with ascribing more spells at our disposal. That's really the gist of this entire video, so please feel free to shut it down if that's all you wanted to know so you can get back to making your Storm Lord in BG3 and listening to me have to deal with terrible allergies. But before you head out, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. Each one of those things helps me out in a huge way. I currently have something like 89% unsubscribed viewership on the channel, and that's a metric I'm trying to change this year, so every little bit helps. You can jump ahead to any part of the video that interests you the most using the chapters in both the timeline and the description. And if you need help with any other subject in Baldur's Gate 3, check out my playlist linked below, upper right hand corner, and at the end of the video. Let's get started here on our Storm Lord of Storms build in Baldur's Gate 3. Loading into the game, let's talk about character creation, and let's see how long until these antihistamines completely kick me over because of my allergies and I start saying weird stuff. So for your caster, you can really go with whatever you really want. I'm always a really big fan of the Mephistopheles Tiefling. They have really good access to a lot of really fun cantrips through their leveling process, and they also get a resistance here to fire damage, which is really nice. Also a big fan of the Drow. They get access to a darkness cantrip, which is always lovely, and it's my favorite race in the game, so it's really easy to talk about them. Since we are going with a charisma-based class with the Sorcerer, I wouldn't use the High Elf because of the cantrip you get from this. I have heard that they've patched this, and whatever class you select is the spellcasting ability of the cantrip. And since we'll be starting off as a cleric, this isn't necessarily very helpful for us. But again, it's just a cantrip, and we're going to have a ton of cantrips through all of our feat choices, so if you want to go with a high elf, by all means do so. I just want to give you that heads up when it comes to the elf options. Going with any of the other ones, like Halfling and the Lightfoot Halfling, getting you access to Brave for advantage on saving throws when being frightened, and Lucky, so when you roll a 1 for an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you can reroll the die unless you roll. If you want to really lean into being a, what's this thing called, a melee hybrid character, you can go with a Gith. Definitely I always like to go with the female one, the non-crackhead version. And you have a lot of fun things here. You get the really cool leap that Giths get access to. You get their special mage hand. And honestly, Giths have access to a ton of very strong armor that is actually really good for hybrid melee and caster classes. So if you do want to kind of go that route, going with a Gith is pretty cool because you get a lot of armor in the Mountain Pass, and you get a ton of armor in the transitionary period between Act 2 to Act 3. And in the very beginning of Act 3, there's tons of that stuff. So between weapons and armor, there's tons of that's accessible by the Gith. And you, as a race feature, get access to light and medium armor proficiency, as well as short sword, long sword, and great sword. So you really can use a wide gamut of things. It's a very, very fun, slept-on race, in my opinion. I'm also a big fan of Deep Gnomes because they're fun for me. Anything that's in the Underdark is really cool for me. And another one on that same pedigree is the Dwegar. Dwegar are quite fun. They get access to an ability to shrink and or make themselves larger, and they can also get a darkness and invisibility cantrip as they level up as well. They get advantage on saving throws against charm and paralysis, which is very prevalent in this game, and also they get an advantage against poison and have resistance to poison damage. So they take half damage to poison. I'd say poison is the second most prevalent style of damage outside of fire, with lightning and or thunder being third. I think I rarely ever deal with any kind of cold damage. But the race I recommend for this is a Dragonborn, and it's definitely a blue or a bronze Dragonborn because they have lightning breath. As of a patch, I think patch 2 or patch 3, the lightning breath now scales with your level, so this will actually become even better. And it's just a cool way to really lean into the flavor of this. I unfortunately don't have a level 12 Dragonborn to show off, but you can see they can look so damn awesome. And subrace features here: the blood of ancient dragons flows through your veins. You are resistant to lightning damage. The bronze one you can do as well. It's the same exact thing. It's lightning. Keep in mind this is lightning. It is not thunder. Both are. It's two different damage types in this game, and there is no thunder dragonborn. Rather choose blue or bronze. But I just think it's a very, very cool way to lean into this build, since we're going to be really focusing on lightning and thunder, and it just really makes a lot of sense here. Now, as far as our class options go, since we're taking Sorcerer and Cleric and Wizard, we're actually going to start with Cleric. And the reason behind that is we just simply want to get access to the channel, not channel, that's a paladin, the channel divinity capability that this subclass gives us. And we want to get that as soon as possible. And that happens at level 2. So by the time you get off of the Githyanki starter ship, you'll be level 2 pretty much. You'll get your level here, and then you'll just pivot right into Sorcerer. So what you're going to do here is you'll notice that you'll get the subclass feature. As a reaction, strike back at an attacking creature, dealing 2 to 16 lightning or thunder damage. The target takes half damage on a successful saving throw. So it's just a very nice kind of reactive ability to just do a little bit of damage here. It's not the primary reason we're choosing this. It's still a cool one nonetheless. You do also get weapon armor proficiency heavy, which is kind of cool. So you can lean into that. If you have a proficiency in an armor, you can cast spells. But heavy armor, you cannot. Take a look here. Wearing heavy armor will not impose disadvantage on your attack spells or prevent you from casting spells. But I believe it still does. I believe it's the only one that'll prevent you from casting spells. In the Sorcerer and Wizard portions. I think for Cleric it's fine, but from what I understand, I think you're limited actually to only light and medium for the Sorcerer and Wizard level spells. Feel free to correct me on that. I might be totally wrong, and if I am, we'll find out later in this video, but just kind of a heads up on that. Cantrips here, I'm going to go with Guidance and Sacred Flame. They're both very good. Then you can go with something like Blade Ward, which is very fun, or Thaumaturgy here, getting advantage on intimidation and performance checks if you want to go down that route. I'll just go with Blade Ward because it'll be always applicable to me as a caster style of character. Deity, I would go with Talos because that's the, god of nature and thunder and lightning and all that kind of stuff. I'm not good at the deities, so that will be one that I know you guys will correct me on. For your background, please choose what makes sense for you and the roleplay for this character. Are you a character who is a noble who has, started as a cleric and traversed into the wild ways of their bloodline and tapped into the sorceress abilities that has been held back from them from their family? Are you a folk hero who has, again, used their innate ability to tap into magic to kind of help the common man? Whatever it is, choose the background for the character you have in mind. Don't give a crap about the skills. Have fun. This is a single player narrative game. If you want to choose the min-maxi option, Guild Artisan is always my go-to because it gives us Insight and Persuasion, two of the most prevalent checks in the game, which then brings us into our skill options and go with whatever ones make sense for you. I already have Insight and Persuasion select on this character, so I'm pretty much good. Everything else outside of that, I guess I'd go History and Religion, because Medicine really only helps you, I think it's like 1 or 2 checks in the game, but it helps you if you're doing any kind of herbalism. So if you want to make potions and stuff like that, this actually can help you because it can increase the yield. If you're not going to touch that little mini game at all, then don't even bother with Medicine. That's your little breakdown right there. Let's have a conversation now about your abilities. Your ability scores can go a number of ways, and it's going to depend too on how you want to build this character out. But this is the character that I'm making, in that I'm going to focus on being a caster. We've got 14 dexterity. This is going to give us 2 additional armor class. Also, it's going to give us 2 to our initiative over here, as you can see. Our constitution is at 14. This is also going to give us a 2. It's going to help us out with hit points, since we're going to need those, and also it's going to help us out with any kind of concentration checks. Now, since we are mainly using our sorcerer capabilities, our charisma is at 16 to give us the max here. We're going to get the feat improved ability score to bring this up to 18, and there's plenty of ways to increase your charisma through items in this game. I'd say probably more than most other ability scores. But intelligence and wisdom, we're still going to tap into just a little bit. Intelligence is our casting ability if we are a wizard, which we will be a little bit of, and wisdom is our casting ability as a cleric. Now this also works as a double-pronged situation here. 12 wisdom will also make it harder for us to be charmed or frightened. Any kind of like general status effect like that, it's usually a wisdom check. And having 16 charisma in general is going to make us very good when it comes to conversation across the board. If you wanted this to be more of a melee character, you could choose intelligence or wisdom to take down a little bit and invest more points into what I would say is dexterity and go with a finesse build rather than focusing on strength. You'd use finesse weapons, which there are quite a few really good ones too, and you can kind of strike a nice middle ground between both of these worlds without having to jump into a whole nother stat in strength. Just keep in mind too, with low strength, you will not have the highest amount of carry capacity, and things will be able to shove you quite easily. Let's now jump into what the progression for this character looks like. Wait, before we do that, let's talk spells. Since we're starting as a cleric, your spells here can be really whatever you want. If you're starting the game out, you can use Shadowheart to do this, but Command is very good because you can use this to have the Tiefling General on the ship drop his Flaming Sword, which is a really, really, really strong sword for anyone that's not this character, right? If you want to give it to Karlach or Lae'zel, it's very good. But for the start, I would just say, you know, choose something like Bless here. You already got this spell online as by choosing Tempest Domain, which is your Thunderwave ability. So any spells in this region, they're just nice little nice to haves. Sanctuary is a pretty good one. It can be useful for not just you, but a lot of points in the game where you don't want someone to die as part of a narrative. Maybe someone gets attacked and you have to keep them alive and it's an NPC. Having Sanctuary on call is a very, very good spell to have. And the rest of these two, they're for the most part more situational. But I definitely think these two are going to serve you a lot throughout your campaign, just playing with this character. All right, now progression, back to my Wood Elf. Let's have some fun. Let's set this guy up. So once we go into level 2, we're sticking with Cleric because this is the main reason we've gone with Cleric, Destructive Wrath. When you roll thunder or lightning damage, you can use your Channel Divinity to deal maximum damage instead. Now, you can just stick entirely with Cleric. I mean, you can go deeper into Cleric and go like 6 levels into this and go with Tempest, and that's going to get, well, I'm sorry, yeah, 6 levels, so that's going to get you like Thunderbolt Strike, so when you deal thunder or lightning damage to a creature that is large or smaller, you also push it. Or level 8 gets you Divine Strike, where you once per turn you deal 1d8 thunder damage in addition to your weapon damage. And you'll get access to stuff like Gust of Wind, Shatter, Call Lightning, and Sleet Storm as a result of going that high. Again, I have not done that here today because the focus is to make more of a caster, less of that kind of melee hybrid. But I just wanted to bring that up. It is an option you can do as you see fit. And we'll just kind of do what I was talking about. Probably do something like this. Keep in mind, concentration. So keep in mind you have concentration spells. Always be mindful of which ones you've got because you cannot cast multiple of one concentration spell. Only one concentration spell can be active at a time. So either Bless or Bane, for example. We'll accept that and we'll jump into, God, look at the technical or dream code I've died out of this character. Wild, right? So we get into level 3, we split off from Cleric and we go into Sorcerer and we have another follow-up conversation. Let's go ahead and clear all that. We already have Blade Ward, so we can skip this. And we're going to pick up Shocking Grasp because it just does lightning damage. It's a go-to for me. I like Friends because we can also use that in accordance with Guidance, whichever one we want to use. Or if you already have another Cleric or another caster in mind that one is going to take Friends or Guidance, have that character do it. It's entirely up to you. Now, another thing, too, is you can use the Disguise abilities, which is not a cantrip, but still, you can use the Disguise abilities to get access to any of the Githyanki items. Just another heads up. So let's just go with, I really like Ray of Frost. It is bueno. Acid Splash is nice because there's a lot of items I can really key off of it in the very beginning of the game. So we'll go with something like that. And then for our spells, we already have Thunderwave taken care of, which is cool, right? And Fog is taken care of as well here. So you can pick up Magic Missile right now if you want, or you can pick up Witch Bolt, whichever you'd like to do. I'm a big fan of Chromatic Orb because I can have it do lightning or thunder damage, and then any other element outside of that. Big fan of it. Here's that Disguise Self I was talking about earlier. But stuff like sleep falls off very quickly in the game, so I don't really use it. Same thing with like color spray. Look at this. Blind creatures up to a combined 33 hit points. So once things start to have more than that, you need to use more spell levels. It just doesn't necessarily it's not overall worth it. Magic Missile is one of my favorite spells in the game, so if you take this, I don't blame you. I'm just going to choose Witch Bolt for the theme of the character right now. Now for the subclass. We are going to focus on Storm Sorcery, because the subclass feature here, after you cast a level 1 spell or higher, you can fly as a bonus action until the end of your turn without receiving opportunity attacks, which is really cool. Allows you to displace, move around. Flying is a very strong capability. I just want to bring up, it's not what we're going to do today, but I'm going to bring up the Draconic Bloodline, because there are a number of things that are very good about it. A, Draconic Resilience. So when you aren't wearing armor, your base armor class is 13. So if you just want to stick with clothing, you get a base armor class of 13, plus the 2 from Dex. We have 15 armor class, which is nice. And we get more hit points. And then we have our Dragon Ancestor. For our Dragon Ancestor, I would choose blue, because that gives us Witch Bolt. The other lightning one, bronze, gives me Fog Cloud, which we've already gotten from our Cleric domain, so I'm not going to go with it. The reason you could go with Draconic Ancestry is, as you hit level 6 or 7, I think it's 6, your Draconic Ancestry kicks in and you get resistance to the lightning capability, and you then can add your Charisma modifier to any time you do lightning specifically damage. You can't add it to thunder, only to lightning. That is a very strong capability. I don't want to cheat it. It's a very good route for this build. You can definitely take it. I've just chosen to go with Storm Sorcery because I think it's probably the least popular of the subclasses of Sorcerer, and I do want to showcase it. It's why I've made that decision. Definitely applicable to go with Draconic Ancestry if you want to. So if you want to go with the Bloodline, please, by all means, do it. We're going Storm Sorcery here today. Go ahead and press accept. That's going to push us into level 2, and we'll just take more spells here. Get Magic Missile online, and now we have our passives, right? So we get Meta Magic as a Sorcerer, and these are quite good. Allies automatically succeed saving throws, increase the range of spells like melee ones. So your Shock, your Grasp, you can now make it have a 30-foot range. Extended Spell, I really like Twin Spell here. So spells that only target one creature can target an additional creature. An Extended Spell is nice for double duration or Careful Spell. Just go with whatever are you going to be more of a melee character? You know, whatever you want to go with. We do deal quite a bit of AoE. I'll go Careful Spell just because that's what I want. Probably Extended Spell is the better one. Double the duration of conditions, summons, and services caused by spells. Or maybe even actually Distant. You know what? We'll go Distant. Crazy. Loco. And another spell here into level 2. So just be mindful of your spells, right? Look for and hunt down your thunder spells, your lightning spells. You want to pick those up because they're going to be particularly good. We get Thunder Wave already, but Shatter is quite good. So we don't want to pick those up as what I'm trying. That's what that yellow box means. It says right here, you already know this spell. Don't do it. Gust of Wind is not a thunder or lightning ability, but it kind of falls into that purview. It's usually associated with it. As far as like items go and stuff like that. But you don't necessarily need to go with Shatter if you don't want. If you want, you can go Cloak of Daggers. It's not lightning or thunder, but please, I'm just trying to encourage, play the game how you want. Don't play how I'm telling you. But also too, Misty Step is a very good one from level 2. Plenty of fun options. Remember, you are a sorcerer. So the only way to swap these spells off is by leveling up. So you would need to respec your character if you want to do a bunch of swapping things out. For the other class passes, we get a lot of really fun ones here. We get Subtle Spell. You can cast spells while silenced, which is very strong. Quicken Spell. Spells that cost an action cost a bonus action instead. We're going to go with that one because it's very good. And Heightened Spell. Targets of spells that require saving throws have disadvantage on their saving throw. Quicken Spell is just so damn good, though. So we'll accept that. We'll jump into level 4. We'll choose our cantrips here. We'll go with... Sure. And spells. We'll go with that Misty Step, just to give us even more mobility. Or, you know what? No, we have the fly capability. Darkness is always very good. We'll stick with... Enhanced ability is good, but you probably get that on a cleric in your party too. I'll just choose Darkness because it's a very fun spell. You can really couple very well with a lot of characters in your party here. But now we get to talk about feats. So the feat options for this character, I'm going to go kind of boring. We only get 2 feats here to choose from. So ability improvement is a really big one. Getting that 2 extra points into charisma is absolutely crucial. And like I said, there's a lot of ways to increase our charisma in this game. So I'm going to go with this one for this character at this moment. But let's talk about the other ones. The other big one here is Elemental Adept. You can split this into either lightning or thunder, or for both your feats that you're going to get as a part of this build, you can get both of them if you want. But take a look at this. Spells you cast ignore resistance to lightning damage. In addition, when you deal lightning damage with a spell, you cannot roll a 1, meaning you can never just outright fail, which is nice. So if you want, you can spend 1 feat here, then the next one onto thunder. You can do that if you want. Ability improvement is another really good one, like I said. And then the other one that's kind of like the one I'm thinking of for this build is Spell Sniper. You learn an additional cantrip, and the number you need to roll a critical hit with spells is reduced by 1. This effect can stack. Important thing to know, any feat that gives you a cantrip, it will use whatever character class is getting that feat's casting ability. What that means is, I'm choosing Spell Sniper as a sorcerer who uses charisma, meaning the cantrips that I get, regardless of what cantrips they are, will be of the charisma spell casting ability. That's worth noting. It's a super like in-depth thing. If you're not really like, I don't know what the hell that means, guy, then don't even worry about it. I'll pick Eldritch Bolt in this case if I wanted to go with it. But the big thing here is it allows us to critical hit on a 19 or a 20 rather than just simply a 20. So it works very well with this. Other things you can go with, Lucky is always very good. Get 3 luck points. You can kind of force the reroll on big hits towards you, or get advantage here on attack rolls, ability checks, or saving throws, which is always very fun. I would say something like Warcaster is good. The only thing that's nice about it is you gain advantage on saving throws to maintain concentration on spells. You also have a reaction to cast Shocking Grasp. You already have a weaponized reaction as a Tempest Domain Cleric, so it's not necessarily very good here. I would pretty much probably avoid this one. Some other things you can go with, though, are Resilient for Constitution to get kind of the same benefit of what we just talked about with Warcaster, and you also get 1 point into Constitution. Just keep in mind, though, any odd number here does not get you any benefit. So unless you have a way to increase Constitution, this won't directly benefit you. You can also go with any of the Magic Initiate things to get another set of spells and cantrips from them if you wish. But I think, again, the simple ones are Ability Improvement, Elemental Adept, and Spell Sniper. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this. Push on with our progression. Now into level 5, we are going to pick one more level, and then we're going to move into Wizard. And I'll show you why after we go through this progression. So level 3 here, or this level here, whatever, 5 or 5. I'm going to go with Lightning Bolt, but I'm going to tell you Counterspell is a very, very strong ability, and you should make sure someone in your party has it. Because it's a reaction, right? Try to stop a spell being cast. If it is higher level than the spell slot you use to counterspell, you must make a check using your spellcasting ability to prevent it. The check's difficulty is equal to 10 plus the level of the spell you are trying to counter. So if it's a level 4 spell, the difficulty would be 14. I'm just going with Lightning. It's a very, very strong ability too, so I like Lightning Bolt. We're going to be having a lot of fun with it too, right? So I'm sticking with that. We're sticking with the cut of the character. We're going to put one more level now to get up to level 6. And we will get more of those meta magic abilities, but not just yet. We'll have to wait a little bit more here. You know what? I'll pick up Counterspell because I talked about how good it is. But other fun things are Haste. Very, very good ability here. So don't kind of work out on that. We're going to press Accept here. And now we're going to put one level to Wizard. Cantrips, choose whatever ones you don't have, right? So we'll choose that. We'll choose this. And no. I mean, we probably are going to get one of these from one of the character classes you play, so just choose whatever one you don't have, I suppose. And then spells here, these are just spells that you're going to know. The overlap will exist, so we'll choose like Longstrider, which is, I believe, a ritual spell once we actually get into the game. Person, Tasha's Hideous Laughter, Featherfall's always nice. Mage Armor is always great. And then we prepare spells. Well, yeah, actually, I kind of like, or do Tasha's do the Laughter is always a really good one. So it's not so crucial what we're doing with Wizard yet. We're going to get into that. Don't worry about it. And now we go back into Sorcerer. This is probably the most convoluted of the builds I've ever made. Usually my builds are very just like, yeah, we'll do this. Oh, wait. Oops. There we go. So back into Sorcerer, get more spells. We're into level 4 now, right? I think there's ever any level 4. Lightning, 1, thunder damage. Nope, there's not. But you can still have fun with Ice Storm. Keep in mind, too, stuff even like Stone Skin is going to be really good here. Wall of Fire is very good, even though we're not focusing on fire. It's just a generally very good capability. So feel free to jump into other elements once you're like, okay, well, I kind of have all those elements stacked up. Let's move into something more fun. By all means, go ahead, do it. Don't feel locked into only choosing lightning and what have you. I'm just doing it from a narrative standpoint for the creation of this video. You know what, though? Let's go... Oh, I didn't choose counterspell. Let's choose level 8. And this is where we will stop, because why would I ever have a level 12 character? I swear to God, I'm so close to 12. I started playing again and pushing through it, and not videos. But I'll go with Ice Storm, because it's a fun capability. There's plenty of other ones here. Yeah, let's go. We don't have a summon here, huh? Now for our last feat, I'm just going to go something simple like Spell Sniper. It's like the only other cantrip I don't have. And that will conclude the progression here. We would get one more level in Sorcerer, and you would pick up one more meta magic capability. I believe. Did we get one more meta magic capability? I'm pretty sure we do. We do not. I lied to you. That's at level 10. So no more meta magic. This is it. We're completed with this character. Let's now talk about why we chose Wizard. Before we talk about the Wizard stuff, there are two things I forgot to talk about when it comes to being a sorcerer. We're at level 6. Well, we're now past level 6, but the thing that we got at level 6 was Heart of the Storm. When you cast a spell of level 1 or higher that deals lightning or thunder damage, you cause a small local storm. All enemies within 20 feet take 4 lightning damage or 4 thunder damage. That number is your sorcerer level divided by 2. So we're level 8, so we take 4 damage. Heart of the Storm resistance. You are resistant to lightning and thunder damage. Outright. Done. And we have fun things that we can do with this through our reactions now. So if I jump over to our reactions, we have that Wrath of the Storm. If a nearby enemy attacks you, you can retaliate with a Strike of Lightning that deals 2 to 16 lightning damage. This is from our Cleric, right? And they have the same one for Thunder. Then we have that Heart of Lightning for Thunder or for Lightning or Thunder that we just talked about a second ago. You can turn those on. Don't know why that's not on. And ignore all that shield and counterspell stuff. We also now have 2 Destructive Wrath. So we don't have to use Destructive Wrath on our own. We don't have to click the button. We can have it set here to a reaction so that when you roll a thunder or lightning damage, you can use your Channel Divinity to deal max damage instead. So maybe it'll tell you, it'll read out and say, hey, this is going to be a critical strike. Let it do its thing. Or, hey, you know what? Here's the damage roll. Let it do its thing. Like, you can kind of really pick and choose when this Destructive Wrath comes down. Now, keep in mind, too, just because of the level setup we've got, we only really have 1 Channel Divinity roll that we can do. So it's not like we can really, really, really abuse this. And another big thing of being a sorcerer is our create spell slots. You can spend sorcery points to unlock a spell slot. And these sorcery points are 1-to-1 with your sorcerer level. So we're level 8 sorcerer, we have 8 sorcery points, and we can use all of our meta magic over here to create spell slots, to create sorcery points, to use our meta magic. So meta magic, quicken spell, doesn't cost an action, now costs a bonus action instead. So we can have a lot of fun here with it. Ignore that. Have a lot of fun with this, right? And from there, here's this other one. Spend spell slots to gain sorcery points. And we have a very huge abundance of spell slots. We're going to go through how you can replenish some of them outside of this, because we also have Arcane Recovery Charge, which is part of our wizard conversation. So let's now talk about being a wizard. All right, Harold Potter, your wizardry is part of why it gives us a little bit of cheese. And this is not something in tabletop, and it might even be patched out in the future. But as a cleric, you have access to your cleric spells. You're a level 2 cleric. This is all your cleric spells. My sorcerer has access to all of these spells, whatever they are. It is worth noting to you, I had certain spells that I got as just simply being a storm sorcery So Call Lightning, Gust of Wind, Daylight, those are all part of just being a Storm Sorcerer. Create or Destroy Water, another example. Now let's go over to Wizard. Wizard, I only have these level 1 spells, but I can scribe spells, and I can cast up to level 6 spells as a sorcerer. So let's go ahead and press this button. These are all the spells I have in my bag right now. I can go all the way up to level 4. I can go up to level 6. I just don't have any level 6 spells in my backpack. So what this allows you to do, yeah, sure, you only have 2 spell slots, but let's just go ahead and learn all these. Well, now I'm only a level 1 wizard, but I can still cast those 2 spells. And I can swap those spells out and have a little bit of fun with those spells. This would maybe be the only reason that would maybe encourage you to have a higher intelligence than a wisdom score, maybe. This gives you more spell slots to tap into. But now you can tap into your already existent sorcerer spell slots and simply just put wizard spells into this. This doesn't require you to put any investiture into a wizard aside from this one level. So you go get all the really fun level 6 wizard spells you can't cast as a sorcerer, pop them into your character this way. It is cheesy, it is gamey, and I understand that. I just kind of wanted to show off one build like this because I just don't typically do this style, and I think it's really cool. It's a cool way to pull more of the lightning and thunder damage spells into your build that you otherwise wouldn't have access to. So this is me just kind of really trying to lean into that flavor. I unfortunately don't have any of those spells, but still, nonetheless, this is a really great way to kind of like have fun with them, right? Like, we didn't get Misty Step, but we got it as a spell as a sorcerer, so here we go. You know what? I don't have greater invisibility. Now I have it because I'm a wizard. So you can have some fun with that. And lastly, too, is our Arcane Recovery Charge. This is only going to recover 1 spell slot. Replenish the spell slot while out of combat. You cannot restore spell slots, blah, blah, blah. So this is only going to recover a level 1 spell slot. But conversely, that's basically a free sorcery point for us, right? Spend spell slots to gain a sorcery point. It's a 1-to-1. So 1 spell slot is going to give us 1 sorcery point. So basically, think of it as actually having 9 sorcery points, because this gives you a means to recover that level 1 slot, or you can just simply use it on a spell. But that is why we've chosen Wizard and what makes it so strong in this build. Your gear options for this character are going to be interesting, but also going to be a lot of fun. So let's have a conversation about that. To start us off, your weapon choice is probably going to come down to 1 of 2 items. The very first one you're going to get access to is the Spell Sparkler. When the wielder deals damage with a spell or a cantrip, they gain 2 lightning charges. This is only really good for portions of the game in which you use the lightning charge items, and this really couples very well with another item, the Protecty Sparks Wall. High spell casting, you gain +1 bonus to spell save DC and Sparks Wall armor. The wearer has +1 bonus to armor class and saving throws as long as they have lightning charges. So basically, every time you cast a spell, and since you can use your action and bonus action to cast spells because of their meta magic, you can basically get a lot of armor class and saving throw going with this. It's a very kind of fun early game stuff because the Sparks Wall, the Spell Sparkler, you're going to get that from Joaquin's Rest in Act 1, if it's in the northeast corner of Act 1. You could miss it, that's why I say that. You go ahead and do that whole situation, and you'll have an option between the Spell Sparkler and 2 other lightning charge weapons. You'd go with this one. And then that robe, you'll get it in Grimforge, which is the end of Act 1. So you can't miss the robe. It's in a chest somewhere towards the end of Act 1. And that'll pretty much carry you all the way towards the end of the game when you're going to unlock or get this staff, which is just always really good. You gain +1 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack slots. Arcane Battery, alleviate the arcane burden of spell casting with the power of the staff. The next spell you cast doesn't cost a spell slot, which is lovely. And with it too, you can, there's this little guy right here. You can press this button and then you can use Bolt of Doom. Embrace Kareska's lightning bolts to gain resistance to lightning damage. Your lightning spells deal additional lightning damage equal to your proficiency bonus. By the time you'd get this, that's either going to be 3 or 4. And when you deal spell damage, gain 1 lightning charge. While attuned to Kareska's bolt, you can cast Chain Lightning and Lightning Bolt. It is Very, very, very good for this build. It's really nice. It's just gonna last until long rest. So you constantly have a free 3 or 4 bonus to all of your lightning spells. It is right on target. You have a thunder options you can do instead that will give you shatter and destructive wave. Destructive wave is very good as well too. So go with whichever one you want. You'd get reverberation rather than lightning charges if you go with the bone shaking thunder. So it's really going to be up to you and your decision right there. But that is the weapon choices here. Let's now go into what the armor and gear choices could be for this class. And you can really keep those robes on that we talked about for a long portion of the game until you get access to any number of the robes we talked about. And we did also talk about heavy armor. I just want to show you, you can use heavy armor and cast. I was under the impression that in this game you couldn't. I think it's only in tabletop that it's like that, but I can still go ahead and press this button and cast this spell. So if I wanted to look just like this, I can more than take advantage of it. Also, because you have proficiency in shields and we're using quarterstaffs, they're all versatile. So we can use shields. So taking advantage of stuff like Shield of Devotion here, there is a shield that you'll get in Act 1 that will give you a lightning aura explosion if you have lightning charges. Although I'd keep those lightning charges for the AC. The aura explosion's not worth it. You have plenty of other ways to deal damage. But you can see here, Shield of Devotion here is going to give us a level 1 spell slot. So there are a lot of shields that grant you spell slots. Take advantage of them with this build because you can definitely go to town with them. Now, outside of that, let's talk about our armor. You can really use those robes I was talking about for a long period of time. You can switch into the robe of the weave. You gain +1 bonus to spell save and spell attack rolls. Whenever the wearer succeeds saving throw against a spell, they regain 1 to 6 hit points and 2 AC. It's really I wanted just to wear these robes because I think the auto pick is this. So the Potent Robe, you'll get this at the end of Act 2. Your cantrips deal additional damage equal to your Charisma modifier, and we're really leaning on that right now. So our +4 added to all of our cantrip damage. Well liked and well fortified. At the beginning of the wearer's turn, the robe activates, granting them temporary hit points equal to their Charisma modifier. Remember, you can only have temp hit points from one source, but the armor class on this is only a +1. So just keep that in mind. It's a little bit different on the AC value here, but we're still plenty defensive regardless of which choose. Those are your big 3 robes. You kind of cycle through to whichever one you want. For our cloaks, we have quite a lot of options. I like the Cloak of Elemental Absorption because it allows me to take damage, and then I get to deal additional 1d6 of that element type of your next attack. So if I take lightning or thunder damage, I can use this to kind of superficially supercharge my items, or my spells. Cloak of Protection is always just a solid one for armor class and saving throw. The Thunderskin Cloak is one you'll be able to buy in Act 1 from the College of Super Extraordinary Gentlemen or whatever, in the Myconid colony. But when a creature with reverberation deals damage to the wearer, the creature needs to make a Constitution saving throw or become dazed. So there are a ton of lightning charge items in the game, and there are a ton of reverberation items in the game. If you find one that you want to go with and you want to stick to try to kind of couple them together, by all means do it. They fall off in their usefulness very quick in the game, unfortunately, because you just get access to disgustingly good items in Act 3. But if you find other reverb items, you can have fun here. And reverb is kind of fun. It's the thunder equivalent of a lightning charge. Affected entity has a -1 penalty to strength, dex, and constitution saving throws per remaining turn. And when they accumulate 5, they take 1 to 4 thunder damage, and they can possibly become prone. So you see how that works. Cloak of Displacement is also very nice here because it just means that the enemies have disadvantage on attack rolls that target the wearer. So this immediately gives me, oh my god, I'm dying. Immediately gives me a like mirror image. Short break, had to quickly rehydrate my throat. Now for our hat, you get the Hat of Storm Scion's Power. Again, in Act 1, Myconid Colony, same place. When the wearer deals thunder damage, they gain Arcane Acuity, which is a nice fun ability here. +1 bonus to spell attack rolls and spell difficulty class per turn remaining. So it's nice here because with this hat and with that robe and with that staff we just talked about, all in Act 1, you have this really cool, fun stacking bonuses that are going to happen for you throughout your early playthrough of the game. So this feels like it's a very it feels like it's a build that has a lot of motion to it. It's going to have a lot of fun things tripping off every time you cast spells. And that's, I think, a very fun thing to a build, so that you don't feel like, oh, I got to wait till level 12 for this thing to really pop off. No, you're going to have fun in Act 1, brother. You're going to have a great time. The kind of ultimate to have would probably be the Birthright here. It's going to give us 2 more charisma, bringing us up to an even 20, which is very, very nice. And there are ways to increase your ability stats in the game. You'd be able to do them if you did Shadowheart's quest. The end of her quest is going to give you an ability to give two to any ability score. You could throw it into charisma here and you'd be maxed out at 22. That's your cap. If you get the hag hair, that's another way to get another 1. There's plenty of ways to increase this to get those last 2 points. But now we are into our jewelry, which we have tons of different options for. There are thunder charge jewelry, there's spark wall jewelry, there's reverberation jewelry. I don't have it. I don't really want to go down that rabbit hole because I don't want you to spend the mid-late game trying to hunt them down because they fall off in use so quickly. Ring of Regeneration is very nice because it's just 1 to 4 hit points every turn. The Killer Sweetheart is an auto guaranteed crit hit, so you have this online for yourself. Spurred Band. During combat, when the wearer starts their turn with 50% hit points or less, they gain momentum to get mobility. And also Ring of Mental Inhibition. When a foe fails a saving throw against one of your spells or actions, they gain mental fatigue, which is nice because if you're casting a lot of AoEs, which you will, everything around you is going to have a -1 penalty to Wisdom, Intelligence, and Charisma saving throws for every turn remaining. So it's a great way to really wrap up a lot of penalties on. And also Ring of Free Action is a good one. You ignore the effects of difficult terrain and cannot be paralyzed or restrained. Very, very, very good. As far as amulets go, there is one that's ultimately the best, but this is a very good early one. The Necklace of Elemental Augmentation. When one of your cantrips deals acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage, add your spellcasting modifier to the damage dealt. So for us, that's going to be, right now it's at 5, right? But at the beginning of the game, it's 3, then 4, then 5. So it's a nice way to just supercharge your cantrips even more on top of what we can already do with cantrip bonuses. Moondrop Pendant. When the wearer has 50% less hit points, they don't provoke opportunity attacks. You already can do this with your fly, but it's just a nice way to kind of ramp that up. This one here gives you free shield and advantage on wisdom saving throws, which you'll have as a cleric, but still, the shield is nice. It's free shield. And then lastly, the Spell Crux Amulet. You get this in the Underdark, I want to say. This is probably the single best thing for you because it gives you spell slot restoration here. Replenish an expended spell slot of any level, long rest. So you can just turn your level 6 spell slot online by pressing that button, or you use this and you don't even use your level 6 spell slot. So you can actually, you theoretically have 3 castings of a level 6 spell slot if you've just come out of a long rest. So you can have a lot of fun with those two working in conjunction with. But that is your gear, that is your weapons, that is your armor. Let's go into some combat. Wait, before we do, your gloves, whatever gloves you find. There are some lightning charge gloves, but they're more for unarmed damage, stuff like that. And your boots, just any kind of mobility boots. These ones right here, click heels, are pretty nice because they allow us to use essentially a bonus action to double our movement speed. Enemies have disadvantage on opportunity attacks. It allows you to kind of get out of a sticky situation. You can have ones that give you Misty Step. There's all sorts of mobility boots. Go ahead and just simply use those. And again, for our gloves that we're using right now, though, cantrips that cost an action cost a bonus action instead. This effect can be used once per short rest. So this allows you to kind of have a little bit more punch with your bonus action if you really need to in certain situations. So you'll get these in Act 3. They're like 300 gold. They're definitely a must buy. All right, loading into combat. Let's have some fun. So I used this ability, Crackling, with Kareska's Lightning to turn me into a Super Saiyan, basically, right? Just jolt them with lightning. And of course I've been ensnared, so this would make this entire situation way more fun. But we can do plenty right here, right? We get the 2 spells that we got from that ability. We have Chain Lightning right here, so I can just kind of go to town on someone. We have our Lightning Bolt we can choose. I can meta magic a twin spell here. So we can use that on the abilities that are given to us from Chain Lightning. So we can really just get some juicy stuff going. Now, this is an action, right? But it won't cost us an actual spell slot. So I'm going to just show that off real quick. Chain Lightning. And I'm going to use Destructive Wrath just to kind of show you, because casting only on 2 targets. Go ahead. And you can see what we just did. We just Sith Sorcered our way through this game like this was Knights of the Old Republic 2. And I still have an extra action because I've done my thing here. So I'm actually going to use... Well, guess what we could do? So this will cost us a bonus action. I was going to say, I could just do this. Ooh, I guess I'm not so cool anymore. But we can go ahead and use our Arcane Battery to still cast one of our level 6 capabilities here. So we can have more fun with this. We can upcast any of our just generic spells, right? So, no, Call Lightning. We'll go ahead and do this. And we'll do... Well, gotta press that button. Then press Call Lightning. And then upcast that bad boy. And we'll just go ahead and shoot it here. Sorry, Karlach. This is the way. Is it? Oh. Oh. There it is. Sorry, Karlach. And we're going to go Heart of the Storm here. Now, unfortunately, we've used our Channel Divinity, right? So we can't, unfortunately, maximize the damage. But what I wanted you to see there from Channel Divinity was it didn't maximize the damage on one of the casts from the twin spells. It maximized the cast of the spell. Then the meta magic kicks in and splits that spell. So it would be the same thing here. We would do the the Channel Divinity, and it would max damage to all 3 targets. So this is why this is a very fun build. Let's go ahead. And we still have some fun we could do. I could pop into Quick Spell Finger here. We can use our Tempestuous Magic to fly away, fly to a nearby spot without receiving opportunity attacks. We can create spell slots too, so keep that in mind. We have our spell slot restoration. We have a lot of stuff we can do in this situation. Or we can just simply cast any of that stuff. But, you know what? We unfortunately don't have the quicken spell stuff here. I didn't set up enough sorcery points that would cost us a bonus action. But let's go ahead and just press Quick Spell Finger. Well, now we can cast any of these. And I could go ahead and do this guy. Oh, I'm ensnared, aren't I? Alright. Go do that.
Try me.
That bitch! Just to show you how much destruction this class can really, really do. It's a very, very fun one. It's probably one of the more fun, unique, but complex things that I've showed off as far as the builds go. And you really can dish out a ton of damage. And like I said, though, don't feel like you have to wait until... I'm going to press this button. You have to wait until level 12 to do this. You really are going to see yourself come online with this at level 4, 5, 6, once you start to get those spell charges online. I'm sorry, all those abilities that you get from all of the items online. And keep in mind too, every single character you play starts to get a power spike at level 5. You will feel very weak in this game, no matter what, at levels 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 into 5. 5, all your melee classes get your extra attack. It's a big power spike. You get an upgrade to another spell level for most of your casters. So that's just the kind of way that this game is. And hopefully you see that this can be a lot of fun, and you can really just dish out a ton of damage in one instance, or consistently do a lot of damage in a lot of other instances. It's a very fun build, and I really encourage you to try this out if you maybe want to do this on your main character, or use it for Gale, or maybe you want to turn Astarion into a caster, whatever it is. Make your Storm Lord, make your Master of Lightning, your Thor Thunder build, whatever you want to call this thing, and have a ton of fun. If you have any suggestions or things that you've done for your build that's similar to this or different from this, by all means, let me know in the comments section below. Maybe you said, hey, you know what? I actually went with Draconic Ancestry, and I'm liking it way more. We basically kind of get Draconic Ancestry through this. Draconic Ancestry would add our Charisma modifier to the specific element. This adds our Proficiency bonus, which at this point is 4. So this adds 4 flat damage to all of our abilities anyway. So, and remember, it lasts until long rest. So this is just on. It's not going to turn off unless I go do a long rest and I just turn right back on. It is a very, very powerful ability. And hey, if you don't want to go lightning, you can switch to any other element if you want to make a build that's off of that. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.